It's a long story. All right, guys, we got OBS right here. We're checking it out. She cranked up and ran, warmed up, put her in drive. She drove 80 feet and died and will not start again. And running the fuses, this number 20 fuse right here, which is a 30 amp, which is for the glow plug relay and also the PCM, was burnt. And when I tried to pull codes with the scanner, I couldn't communicate with the PCM. So what we did first, instead of blowing another $5 fuse, is we came over here and let me get up on the creeper. We went through our pigtails, and all of these pigtails were looking pretty good. We went ahead and disconnected our hot off our solenoid, so our glow plug section's not getting hot. Then we ran across this one back here underneath the neck of the air snorkel, and see if y'all can see all the naked wire right there and everything. So this was probably the cause of the short. This one looks okay, it's buried down in there. So we left the hot off to the solenoid for the glow plugs and put our 30 amp fuse in and had key power. So we went ahead and with the key power we were able to access the PCM, so everything's okay there. And then we decided to check glow plugs because she has a bad cold start nature. So on these, as on the Super Duties, glow plugs are on the outside. You can check them with a test light on the hot side. And so we got one good, one bad. Two more bad there. And I did the other side, and so we have one glow plug, the furthest one in the front on the left bank, and the furthest one in the back on that side are the only glow plugs we got is hot. So we'll need a set of glow plugs, and we're gonna need some pigtails to replace this, or see if we need a harness. So anyway, playing around with this OBS and trying to get her to pop off, and when he got here, it was a crank no start. So it's kind of chilly this morning, so I don't think she'd start without plugging her in, but probably gonna be pulling the valve covers and doing glow plugs. Put a set of them on there. We'll check the relay, make sure it's doing its thing, and get rid of that short so we don't pop the fuse. All right, I'll get back to you in a little bit. All right, guys, these are the two good ones that came out of the batch. All of these are not even reading. I'll show you all that in a minute. So we got open circuit there. Now you can test these with a 12-volt source and heat the actual end up. Not really necessary, but if you wanted to, you could. So clamp your hot down here on the shank, or your hot on the nipple rather. So I'm getting 0.4, which is what I usually see on motorcrafts when I get them new. These are not motorcrafts, but and I'll show you again. So we're just taking a little clamp. If you don't have the clamps, you can just touch them. Anywhere on this gold body is ground, and this little nipple up here is a hot. So I'm getting 0.4 there. Now sometimes you'll get crazy readings where it's just all over the scale. These are totally dead, meaning when you put them on, they don't do anything. They're open circuit. So it's totally burnt up in here. So, and I'll just check one more just to show y'all. And what I like to do, see, totally dead, is as I take these out of the new packs, I like to go ahead and give them a quick check out and just make sure, you know, a lot of times we're getting lately a lot of brand new stuff is junk. So just because it's brand new doesn't mean anything. And just because it's brand new Ford or brand new aftermarket really doesn't mean anything nowadays. So we put it on the shank, put it on the top, 0.4. So I don't remember the parameters. Trying Kristen, you remember what glow plugs should be? I don't remember, but every time I check the Ford ones that I get, they all come out about 0.4. So as long as you don't have open circuit like we just had, or as long as you're not getting real high readings of resistance, then you should be pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and unpackage all of these and test them real quick, and then we're going to go in. Alright guys, sorry for the pressure washer noise in the back. We got all of these ohms, about half of them at 0.4, about half of them at 0.5. So we're going to go in with those, and I'll tell you about this little problem when we're going back in with those, when the pressure washer's not on. Alright, we're going to take our freshly tested glow plugs and we're going to drop them in the holes where they go. This number one, or number two cylinder, first one here, had the glow plug with the broken body, so it looked like they welded the bottom. I don't know why they would go through all of that instead of just getting another glow plug, but what I'm going to do is drop these in here. We'll run them down with the little fuel hose, and that way we're not hitting our 10 mil socket on the rocker arm, and then snug them down. So put you on time lapse for that. We also just for safety, since that one glow plug was missing some stuff, I went ahead and barred the motor over a couple of rotations, and then also spun it with a little starter button from under here. So we're not hearing anything, so I think that's old business, and we're gonna go in with our new business. So we'll put that on time lapse. Alright, we're gonna weasel our little gaskets back under here. Let's see. What am I hanging up on here? There we go. Now when you're getting these gaskets set in place, try and keep an eye on, line everything up with your bolt holes and get them all situated, but also want to make sure to look for pinch points on your wires real good. And that way you don't end up, there we go. You don't want to end up having, you want to double check when you're done, because you can bend these down and make them come in here. I'm going to probably do the glow plug first on this one. But, you bend them down and get them all situated, and then double check that we're not rubbing on rockers or push rods or anything. And then before we put the valve cover on, we want to double check and make sure no wires are underneath that could get pinched, or even on top and get pinched. Alright, let me get these all buttoned up and plugged in, and we'll do the other side. I wanted to show you guys a little something. Some of these little plugs for the glow plugs under the valve cover harness, sometimes they don't like to seat too good. So hopefully you can see this on the thing. So I have a test light with my wire hooked to a positive, and I'm going to the outer pins, and I don't know if y'all can see that, but they're lighting up. So you're using the glow plug as a ground, basically, and that will tell you whether or not your harness is seated all the way. On the injector side, it's pretty easy because it's got a little locking clip, but sometimes you got to reach in there with some needle nose pliers, and it's a pain in the butt to make sure that they're seated all the way and connected. Sometimes you don't find that out till you get them all the way out. So that's a quick little test to make sure everything's plugged up on the harness. I've got a pigtail to redo, so I'm going to put the valve covers on, and that way when I'm working with the pigtail I don't get any dirt and grime in the under the valve cover area. Alright guys, y'all can see right here bunch of naked wires, and I think that's what shorted this fuse out on here and took the PCM out. So since we did glow plugs and valve cover harnesses, went ahead and put in a new pigtail. Now I've got them separated here, and you also have this ground wire and this little aluminum shield, which I have some aluminum that I saved, but that aluminum shield is going to go spiral around your 3 injector wires. You're going to have a common and then the 2 for the injectors. These 2 over here are glow plugs, so we'll do that separately. The glow plugs don't have to, glow plugs don't need to be shielded. So I'm using, I'll show you here in just a second when I get my hands free. Using some uninsulated butt connectors, and that is gonna, let me get this slid over here before this gets too hot. And the heat shrink is a little tight, so we're gonna put a little bit of Dawn soap on here. Let's see, we can entice them to go over. That way I don't have to. I knew it was going to be tight, but hopefully we'll be all right. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. So now I'm going to heat shrink these 2 big ones. That's just going to keep extra insulation on the, so the crimps don't rub out. And then we'll take our ground wire wiggling right there and our foil, and wrap it around the 3 injector wires. So now again, we don't need to worry about the 2 wires for the injector. I mean the glow plugs. We got to worry about our 3 injector wires as far as looming up. And I have a couple of pieces. Man, I don't have any really short pieces of this foil, so we're gonna make happen what happens here. And put this foil first, and then I'll wrap over it with the ground, kind of hold it in there. Oh, come on. Trying to keep this foil together long enough for me to get the wire over it. And it doesn't want to cooperate. And just take this and go all the way down to the plug, close as you can. And then we'll get it kind of electrical taped a little bit and loomed it up. Once it's loomed it, that's it. One of y'all can hit me up in the comments. I think this is to keep the electrical pulses to the injectors from being picked up by the radio, but I'm not really sure on that. So if somebody has any info, drop a line in the comment section. Tell us what this is all about. I'm going to double this back on itself, and then we're going to put a few little spots of tape and loom it up. Alright, that's boring enough for y'all. I'm going to tape this up and I'll get back. Still got the valve covers off. Got a glow plug relay hooked back up. Got our pigtails plugged in. Let's see if we got enough battery juice. See if she come alive. Hey, can you cycle this key for me? Just cycle it off and cycle it. I'm just checking the glow plug relay. I want to see if wait to start is the light's working in there. Yeah. No. Nope. Okay. Well, we got a relay that's bad. Well, guys, that's going to be a little anticlimactic for today. Just trying to get it running and popped off, but this glow plug relay and the batteries are a little weak. We're below 10 when we're cranking, so we're gonna put the batteries on a slow charge. What I'm having is I've got hot coming in from the hot wire. It's kind of not getting to the post, but then again, when it does get to the post and you get power all the way to the post, the two starter wires, signal wires, you hear it click, but it ain't jumping. And a lot of times, guys, you'll hear these things, the solenoids clicking, so you think they're working, but when they click, you should have hot here and hot here. And if that's not happening, the plate can still be slamming up against the contacts, but on the underside of these posts. But if there's been a lot of arcing and all that, there'll be a lot of carbon buildup and arc build up on there, and it just won't get enough juice to go through. And you need all the juice you can get for the glow plugs because they draw a good bit. So I got a Motorcraft one coming for in the morning, and we'll put the batteries on a slow charge and check on her in the morning and see how the patient's doing then. All right, guys, we got an all cooler job to do on my buddy's OBS right here, and it's just a black nasty mess under there. So we're spraying Awesome, which is just a little yellow mix cleaner that does really good with cleaning up all the black mess on these engines, from soot to oil and all that kind of mess. So we're Awesoming it down. We got some plastic set up so we don't make too much mess, although it rained tonight, or rained last night, and the Bluetooth walls didn't exactly get to keep all the rain out. So anyhow, we got Awesome being sprayed. We'll do a little time lapse. All we're trying to do is get most of the gradu off of the truck, you know, just so we can work on it without turning completely black on with oil and grease and whatnot. So we have the lift, and we decided to lay this plastic down, and we put 4x4 under there. We got the bump that is in the center of the lift, and then some other plastic just for a windscreen so he doesn't get me all wet on the other side. And we're trying that out. We're gonna see if all the nasty stuff will stay put right here on the bottom, and we can just roll this plastic out of here later and keep our slab clean and all that. So since he ain't waiting on me, we're gonna put y'all on time lapse on this one.
Alright y'all, as you can see, we're back at it again today. This here we got an oil cooler job. First step I like to do is degrease it real good, and we're gonna go ahead, drop the oil, drop the coolant, and bring y'all along for the job here. Alright y'all, while we got everything draining, I'm gonna go ahead and crack our 3 bolts on this back manifold. And we'll let him drain as well. Things are tight. And I've got a separate pan from my oil, just because we're trying to save the used motor oil for other purposes. Try not to get too much coolant in it. Alrighty. These 3 are all the same size in the back. And hopefully we get most of it in it and not on it. See what we can do. Some of our coolant wasn't making it too hard of a radiator. Oh wow. I'll let that drain. Okay guys, one thing that I noticed going with the cleaning, we got a lot of deposits here And I just wanted to go around one time, not too hard with this pick, but to get all of them deposits out from where the O-ring's gonna sit. And of course we're gonna clean our mating surface real good, make sure it's all clean metal, and then we'll show you how to go back together with it.
I need some pliers or something for this. Well, maybe not. Huh? No, that's cool. I just want to make. I want to put like on the jacks that are on the presses. I actually want to put a T-handle on it. Now get in there with some lube before you. Put some lube in that cup. On these things with these O-rings, you don't want to roll them. So make you a bead and smear it all in the cup where the O-rings got to travel to get down to the bottom. You know. On this thing, you cannot have too much lubrication. No joke intended. You know, you want to catch this surface, and then you want to catch the step down for the final O-ring. That way they slide in and they don't want to bite and roll in case you left a dry spot on the O-ring, you don't want it to twist. Do we have we got a rag, a decent rag somewhere? And this ain't gonna, I don't know if that's gonna fit. Yeah, it doesn't matter, just something cloth to keep it from accidentally pressing wood pieces in there. Alright, sir. You don't have a particular end, right? Here's your little notch. And you can start sliding it on there. Give it a little twist. And get him under here. Lay this flat. Now, do we have a little, yeah, no, this is too big. We don't have a 1x somewhere, huh?
I can come up with the jack.
Okay, if you can. Moody rascal. Alright. Moody. Eyeball me, make sure we're kind of in the center from a couple of directions. And are we in the right? Is this in the?
Yeah.
Okay. You good? Put my eyes on. We want to just make sure that this keeps moving. You know? And as long as this is moving, we're good. You don't want to put a bind on it and crack the house. So as long as it's walking. Okay, let's go all the way up with this jack again. I got the piece. Lift up on the jack.
Good.
Take this out. And then we should be able to get this, because that's going to have to hang over. Yeah guys, so what we're doing is we're putting the ends of the oil cooler on. We we're gonna go in with both ends on this time. But you know, you got your alignment tabs where the tube came out, and just align that back up. And I use Lucas Assembly Lube because it's just slicker than owl shit. And you want to get the O-rings real lubed up, and then once you got the O-rings lubed up, you want to lube up the inside of the collars that we're pressing on. Now what I did is I put a t-shirt over the wood, because this was the downside right here, and all these little tubes, I don't want to bend them, and I don't want to get little chunks of wood stuck in them, so I put a rag over that. And you just start coming down, and you'll see, if you take your time with it, it'll, you know, you may have to jiggle it if it stops wanting to move, but it should just walk on down. You don't want to put a bind on it, because this aluminum housings on the top and the bottom will crack. And you can do ratchet straps. I've seen a bunch of stuff. I like to press, so that's just my preference. And I like to have wood instead of metal touching them. So I don't know if y'all can see, but we've got the oil filter housing hanging off, and we're gonna line up this side. Probably you only have a line up on this one. I don't think you got a line up on that one. You just, you know, try and true it up. All right, and then if you can hold that right there and keep me in the center. So I'm just putting this board on the flat part and just getting a flat press, and I'm watching right here where the two pieces go together. So once I get a little bind on it, I want to see that it keeps traveling each pump, so there's no bind on it. We're just pushing it down, and you just watch it, or you can put your finger on it. Are we cockeyed?
Look straight.
No, we cockeyed. No, are we? I'm gonna come down. Is it moving?
Yeah.
Okay, you keep an eye on it and tell me when it quits moving.
Alright.
That's it. So I go down about one more pump after it quits moving, just to seat it good, and then we're gonna bleed the jack off, no pun intended. And there's your piece all pressed together and ready to go on.
Alright y'all, well we got the all cooler backed on, torqued to 18 foot-pounds front and back. We got the water pump inlet pipe all tucked away back how it's supposed to. So we're about to filter the coolant, throw it back in this old girl. We weren't having an internal all cooler leak, it was just leaking externally, so the coolant was nice and clean. And
Yeah.
so we'll get it buttoned up. One thing I want to mention, doing this all cooler job, we pulled the oil and the coolant, and to ensure that nothing went wrong on the all cooler job, I'm gonna fill the coolant before I put the oil drain plug back in, so that way if there's any issue with any O-ring in the oil cooler, and we have a big you know, a massive bypass. We'll get cooling out of the oil pan before we crap up some new oil. Ask me how I know. So we'll go ahead and get it topped up and started for y'all.
Well guys, good morning, and on today's episode of Let's Get in a Hurry and Forget to Start Recording, we got the OBS back up on the lift. We pulled the drive shaft, put a little boot plug, I said boot plug, on the end of the transmission. We got the harness, kind of all the little Christmas trees popped out. Tristan's hanging the shift linkage. We got drive shaft pulled and set on the ground right there. So what are we after is this rascal right here. So we got all the oil leaks and all that other stuff y'all saw on this one, but we're running into some spots where when there's 2 or 3 spots on this ring gear for the starter that are, the teeth are all boogered up on. You can see them, like you see how the teeth are flat right here, and then they kind of missing some stuff here. So there's 2 or 3 spots like that. The Bendix is kicking in and the gear on the starter looks brand new. So we're going after the flex plate. So we're just prepping the transmission to go for a little ride while we try and pull this flex plate off. So we'll put it on time lapse, bring y'all back every now and then. Some of this is not going to be too crazy, but we just got slack in here. We're going to put the jack under here and kind of drop the cross member out and just walk the transmission back enough to get the flywheel is what we're hoping to do. There's one of your torque converter bolts. So we're going to pop those off, roll the engine, pop it off. Once we get them all off, we're going to take a pry bar and slide the torque converter back on the transmission side of the shaft. And as you pull the transmission, keep this walked back in there so it doesn't come off. But anyway, we're getting ready to pull some cooler lines and go from there. And again, I'm back here. This is one of the rear trans cooler line. And we got the other one, if you follow the tubing up in the front. They don't have a lot of flex in them, so we're going to end up having to pop the cooler lines off and let them drain a little bit just to get them out of our way. I'm going to see if I got some caps or something we can put on, keep the dirt out. And we'll get those off and start working on torque converter bolts. All right, guys, well, y'all saw we took the cross member out and slid this back, making sure that the torque converter stays seated good on there, and we're getting ready to well, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to film this, but we're going to use this tool. Tristan's setting up the whole back up, and we're going to break, see if he can do it. Yeah, there we go. We're going to break the bolts for the I keep wanting to say flywheel, but it's flex plate, I guess, in automatics. But all right, so we're just going to break all of these. Now these bolts and the torque converter nuts, which goes on those studs, you can see, all need to be Loctited when you go back, and torque down to whatever the torque specs are. I didn't look it up yet. Getting a little shot of Tristan using that holdback tool. If you don't have the holdback tool, I say it's a holdback tool. It's actually for turning the flywheel so you can get to stuff. But if you don't have that, you can get by with a pry bar, you know, and work it that way if you got to. All right, well, we're gonna pull this off and we'll show you some more on the gears when we get it off. All right, guys, we got the transmission stab back on. Alrighty, I had to check with Tristan to see where things left off. So we got the torque converter. We got our torque converter studs stuck in. He got the flex plate all torqued down. So we're working on bell housing bolts up here and getting all those started. We got them kind of run down by hand. We're getting ready to bump them up. Torque these here, and we're coming to the back. And Tristan is torquing the upper bell housing bolts with a mega long extension. So, and we just, all we did was use the jack and get her stabbed in. Just a side note to show you guys, when you're working on these transmissions, get you some bolts that are longer than your normal bolts for the bell housing. Get 2 of them, cut the heads off, put a little slot in there so you can get them out with a flathead. And what I do is, this will be the left and the right. I'll put one in the left hole, one in the right hole, and use it as an alignment dowel. You don't have to put them in there tight, just get them in there, and that'll help line everything up so you can jiggle-hoos the transmission on. And then when you got it on, if you have trouble getting this out, you just get a flathead and back these out and swap them out. And we're doing blue Loctite on the flywheel flex plate bolts. as well as the torque converter nuts. You don't want that coming off. All righty, we'll come back here in a little bit. Alright guys, if you will look right up in this hole right here, you're going to see the Bendix come out. Trying to get the light where y'all can see. Give me a bump. Alright, crank it up. Well, that's back together. We got the drive shaft back on. We got our hanger band with some new bolts. One of them was galded, so we put new bolts on there, and we put new bolts on the back as well. One of the Allen heads was stripped. The seal looks pretty good. We got a little oil from when we were goofing around in the back of the trans, but I think that's pretty much it. So let's move on to the next thing with this rascal. Alright guys, we found a wire up here that was hanging on by a thread literally, so we cut it and put a heat shrink splice on it. And also found a green wire that was cut, missing about 6 to 8 inches. We don't know where that goes to, so we're just gonna loom it up, neaten it up. We may need to see do we need to zip tie the trans harness in here, or is that gonna ride? Okay. Well, we were checking for power steering leaks. We got a little bit of drippage, but it looks old. So drive shaft's all back under. So that may be it for this one. And we'll see. We may get pulled into a couple other things. But flywheel's on and looking good. Flywheel dust covers on. And dry in case we get any leaks and all that kind of stuff. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed it. If y'all want to leave us a comment about anything we did or didn't do, hit us up in the comments. These are our new style hubcaps right here. The Banana Spider General hubcap. Be on our website pretty soon if we had one. But anyhow, Fred here says that's it, so we're gonna wrap it up. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for right now on this one. Hope y'all enjoyed it. We'll see y'all on the next one.